So David, I know you might be a little nervous about judging tonight, but you know what? I'm here to reassure you and help you come out of your shell. These students are really, really well prepared, so be tough. Ask them tough questions, be super critical.
Hey, Faith.
Okay. Oh, Partha, we were just talking about judging. Hi.
Yeah, I read your book.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, so I went ahead and I took some notes. I thought it was a bit pedantic, but I figure when you release the actual version, you can implement the changes I made.
Oh, thanks, Partha.
Yeah.
Where were we?
By the way, is that the dress you're gonna wear tonight?
Yeah, you guys got this. You're super judgy.
Live from the campus of the Georgia Institute of Technology, it's the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize. Join us as the nation's brightest students unveil the future and compete to win $35,000 in prizes and patents. Please welcome your host, Emmy Award winner, Faith Salie.
To the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize, the nation's biggest undergraduate invention competition. I'm not only your host this evening, I will also be your interpreter, doing my best to put the incredible genius exhibited by tonight's finalists into terms even people like me can understand. In any case, last September, more than 500 students began submitting their inventions for the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize. And since then, the field has been whittled down to 6 teams composed of 15 students. And in just a minute, they'll start presenting their inventions to our judges, competing for first prize, second prize, and a People's Choice Award that you will decide. So to get the details on how these impressive prizes work, allow me to introduce my co-host, Ashley Mingwasser. Ashley?
Thank you, Faith. And yes, the prize, an Inventure Prize, is not to be taken lightly. Tonight's first place team will receive $20,000 thanks to the sponsorship of United Technologies Research Center, plus entry into Georgia Tech's Flashpoint Accelerator program. Now, our second place prize is sponsored by the ACC Academic Consortium, and that team will earn $10,000. Not bad. And both the first and second place teams will also receive a patent to help them protect their inventions. Very important stuff. Those prizes will be decided by our distinguished judges, but our People's Choice Award will be voted on by our audience, both here at the First Center as well as our viewers at home. And our People's Choice Award, sponsored by the Georgia Center of Innovation for Manufacturing, is worth a cool $5,000. It's important to note that we will not open the People's Choice voting until all 6 teams have presented. At that time, you'll be able to cast your vote either by texting your favorite team's keyword to 22333 or by visiting pollev.com/InventurePrize. I'll give you each team's keyword at the end of their presentation, and I will remind you of them again before the voting opens. Remember to watch out for autocorrect now when casting your votes, and you can only vote once per device. I'll tell you exactly when to start voting, but for now, I send it back to Faith, who has been joined by tonight's judges. Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. And our judges have already passed their confirmation hearings and have taken their seats. So before we get wowed by our first team tonight, let's get to know them. Our first judge holds no fewer than 4 degrees from Georgia Tech. Among other, yes. And you can guess who it is because he doesn't want to make eye contact with any of you. He's very humble about this. Among other entrepreneurial activities, he currently serves as program leader in Google's Advanced Technologies and Projects Group. It's Dr. David Frakes. Welcome, David. And next, please welcome a woman with extensive experience in startups. She earned an aerospace engineering degree from Georgia Tech before completing a master's of business at Harvard, and she's now president and CEO of Now Corp. Please welcome Lara Hodgson. And And another new judge on our panel, but a familiar face to our show. He's a former Inventure Prize finalist who took his invention, the Better Walk crutch, to the White House and Forbes 30 Under 30 list while building it into a successful company. CEO of Better Walk, Partha Unava. And thank you, all three of you, for being here. I know you are as eager to meet our competitors as I am, so let's get started. Let's start with Team CPR Plus.
Hi, I'm David Ehrlich.
I'm Samuel Clark.
And I'm Ryan Williams, and we're Team CPR Plus. Each year, there are more than 350,000 cases of cardiac arrest outside of hospitals in the US alone, with only a 10% survival rate. Luckily, early CPR doubles the chance of the victim's survival. The problem is, less than 30% of Americans know how to perform CPR on a moment's notice.
Learning CPR can take hours of training, but we asked ourselves, what if you could learn CPR at a moment's notice at exactly the right time?
We analyzed the traditional methods that have been used to teach CPR for decades and leveraged 21st century technology to bring this information to anyone on a moment's notice. Winning the Inventure Prize would allow us to move past the prototyping stage and begin production at scale.
That way, we can get our product in the hands of thousands of users and start saving lives of cardiac arrest victims with CPR Plus.
Okay, these guys may have already won my heart, so let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, from Team CPR Plus.
More than 1,000 people suffer from cardiac arrest every day, and less than 10% of them survive. Bystander CPR more than doubled the chance of their survival. The problem is, people don't have the time or money to make CPR training a priority. And this training doesn't always mean you'll be ready. It's hard to recall your training when someone's life is on the line, and CPR standards change every few years. CPR Plus has solved this problem by enabling even untrained users to be ready to perform CPR at a moment's notice. Samuel's going to demonstrate our device's core functionality on our teammate, Manny.
Tap victim. If unconscious, call 911. Press next to continue. Place mask on the victim's face with the pointed side above their nose. Press next to continue. Attach heart rate sensor to the victim's ear. Press next to continue. Press mask firmly against victim's face with both hands. Carefully tilt victim's head back until the airway is open. Begin blowing into mask. Keep going until all lights are green. Begin blowing into mask. Keep going until all lights are green. Begin 30 chest compressions. Follow the rhythm of the blinking lights and counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Samuel just showed our device's three major innovations. One, the sensors continually monitor the victim's heart rate, breathing patterns, and even if something is blocking the airway. Two, this data is used to give instructions, pace compressions, and time rescue breaths. And three, the external buttons give the user control over this highly stressful situation. We envision our product starting first in public facilities and large organizations with a starting price point less than 1/10 of an AED. But since the majority of cardiac arrests occur in the home, we plan to tackle this market next, where we believe our device can have its biggest impact. So far, we've spoken with physicians, first responders, teachers, and even state legislators, like Senator Jeff Mullis, who is a former firefighter himself and said that our device is a lifesaver. These interviews have validated that our device has true market and life-saving potential. The unfortunate truth is that cardiac arrest is a death sentence if left only to professionals. Take it from Sharon Hunt, who is an EMT trainer and former EMT herself.
Several years out of a trauma center in Massachusetts, all the times I did CPR, and we're talking hundreds, never once was I able to revive someone in sudden cardiac arrest where CPR had not been initiated on the scene by a bystander. So if CPR doesn't happen on scene, by the time I get there, it's too late.
With your help, we can give new hope to the 340,000 people who die every year from cardiac arrest. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, guys, I think Manny pulled a few too many all-nighters working on this with you.
He's dead tired.
That was a very impressive demonstration. So let's see what kind of impact it made on our judges. Partha, do you want to take it?
Yeah, awesome on the device. I have a two-part question. So the first is that in 2015, the American Heart Association recommended that you should not perform any rescue breaths, and that by the time an ambulance got there, the trained professionals from the ambulance would then proceed with the rescue breaths. So how does that affect the features and the value proposition of your device? And additionally, an AED instructs, and I get that your device is 1/10 of the price point, or the target price is, but I'm not so convinced on the home retail model, and I'd like a little bit more pushback on that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, those are great questions that we've thought about ourselves. So what you said about the 2015 and the AHA, first of all, there was a 2015 study published in the New England Journal of Medicine that found when professionals are administering CPR, they randomized compression only versus with rescue breaths, and that the survival rate was higher with rescue breaths. And this will kind of answer your second question as well. Actually, only 23% of cardiac arrest cases are shockable arrhythmias where an AED can even help. And when you administer rescue breaths, for the other 77%, rescue breaths are even more effective than compression only. The gains are disproportionately high versus where it is shockable. Compression only is more effective when it is shockable, but when it's not shockable, then rescue breaths are more effective. Does that answer your question, or do you want me to keep going on the AED as well?
So that was the first part. And the second part is on the home retail model. How do you plan, I guess I'm not so convinced on selling a medical device to families or to homes.
Sure, okay, so further on the AED thing, actually in-home cardiac arrests are less likely to be shockable, and we think that we can get the price point to below $100. As we improve our manufacturing potential, we can increase throughput and drive that cost even further down. So we want to gain consumer trust through public places and formal testing. And once we get the 510K for the home market, we hope this will be something you buy along with a fire extinguisher or other things that would be emergency technology you'd buy.
How would you address the liability or risk issues of giving data-driven advice to someone who's not trained?
Okay, so first of all, I would note that this is a fail-safe device. If it malfunctions, it's 5 volts of power versus an AED, which is 300 volts. And if it completely goes kaput, it's a completely functioning CPR mask. So I would say they're no worse off if something doesn't go quite correctly. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get there with the FDA. And after winning the Inventure Prize, that would be great to get those resources to help us through and navigate those waters that the AED has already navigated.
Does that answer your question there, David?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a couple questions. First off, all the things that are involved in CPR are very important, of course. Time is also important. So are you concerned at all about the delay to actually administering the process that comes with having to strap something onto someone's head and connect a lead to the ear? Have you measured that time interval, and is it considerable? Is it impactful in the context of how long someone can actually go without that care?
Yeah, first of all, just wanted to expound on my answer to your question. The vast majority of cardiac arrest victims are in homes. But continuing on in your question, that is some things we have thought about. And we thought about even incorporating an expert mode for people that know exactly what they're doing. This would cut through the monotonous stuff they would already know. And that's why we have the repeat button. If they miss something, if we give our commands too fast, which we would err on the side of too fast, they can hit repeat and we can slow it down the second time. So we have gotten feedback and we've sped up the commands. And unfortunately, a lot of these things are just something even a professional would have to do. Check the pulse and breathing for 5 to 10 seconds. Those are things that a professional couldn't even get around.
Okay, we got about 20 seconds left. Another question?
Yeah, one more. I'm just concerned about the human-machine interface there, because when you start operating the device, it's talking to me. I got lights flashing in my face. There's a lot going on. I'm supposed to assimilate all of that, never having seen it or heard it before, and then perform this operation. Are you concerned at all that overwhelming amount of information might actually be more confusing and cause harm as opposed to good?
Okay, that's a great question. This is
you get 5 seconds to answer it.
Okay, well, we've heard feedback that this is very intuitive to people who have seen it used, but yeah, we'll have to definitely revisit that and figure out how we can make it as relaxing, and it's a heat of the moment, but we'll try.
Thank you so much, Team CPR Plus. strong start, and Ashley is ready to keep things going with someone close to Team CPR's heart. Ashley?
Thanks, Faith. Yes, she's very close to the heart of the matter. She's Emily Henselder, Ryan's girlfriend, in fact. Emily, I've learned Ryan was a lifeguard in high school. He's taught CPR classes, and he seems to keep your heart ticking, milady. So what exactly are your favorite qualities about him?
Well, I'd have to say that my favorite quality about Ryan is how much he cares about people. He's always told me that people come first no matter what, and that's been very evident over his course at Georgia Tech, as a TA, RA, and now working on the CPR Plus mask.
Very evident by the mask. And what about the team dynamic when all three of the guys are together? What are they like?
Well, it's very funny to watch the three of them interact. I would definitely say Ryan's the optimist of the team, Samuel's the pessimist, and Dave is definitely the realist. One of my favorite memories of watching them work together was in the moments before the Senior Design Capstone Expo when the device was malfunctioning. Ryan's sitting there, come on guys, we can do it, we'll get it done, it'll be great. Samuel's sitting there saying, oh no, we're running out of time, how are we gonna get this done, I'm worried. And Dave's sitting there saying, oh no, we only have an hour left, we really gotta get this done now, time's running out.
It's like the Three Stooges, but the three geniuses. That's really nice. Well done, Emily. I'd say your vitals check out just fine, so I'm not very worried about you. To join Emily and cast your vote for CPR Plus later in the show, not yet, you'll text keyword CPR Plus spelled out, not the plus sign, to 22333. Back to you, Faith.
All right, our second team tonight also wants to save people time, but for a whole different reason. They are Team Intern Blitz.
Hi, I'm Murtaza Bambot.
I'm Nathan Das.
And we are Intern Blitz. The job search process is tiring and it's tedious. Last spring, I was looking for an internship, so I applied to 125 different companies. That took about 60 to 80 hours of work of just writing my name, uploading my resume, and putting in my email.
When Murtaza called me towards the end of last summer, he told me about the position he was in the fall and spring recruiting cycles of last year. And I immediately knew that the job search process could be significantly improved. So we got together and we just started making Intern Blitz.
I realized if I was having this problem, then thousands of other college students around the nation were probably facing the same thing.
The biggest challenge we faced while making Intern Blitz was really getting the number of jobs that we need to satisfy the college students across the world. But when we got that first successful application and confirmation email, we immediately knew that we could do it.
Okay, I would be lucky to get an internship with anyone on this stage. So hook me up, Team Blitz. How does this work?
Last spring, I was looking for an internship. So I applied to 125 different internships. 125. And I got 3 interviews. That's it. So after that, Nathan and I talked to over 150 students from both Georgia Tech and Georgia State and saw that we weren't alone in this. Students are spending 30 to 60 minutes to find and apply to each internship, only to never hear back from recruiters. And then that means that they're spending hours and hours filling out forms instead of actually learning about the companies that they're applying to. I wasted over 70 hours in my internship search. With Intern Blitz, that would have happened in 1 hour.
Intern Blitz is the common application for internships. When a user signs up for Intern Blitz, they fill in their profile with their name, major, GPA, and other personal information. When users start applying to internships on Intern Blitz, applications are pre-filled with their personal information, so they only need to answer questions like, why do you want to work at this company, or what are your location preferences? With Intern Blitz, we have watched people apply to 15 internships in just 5 minutes. Now, in the recruiting industry, there are these things called applicant tracking systems. Applicant tracking systems make it very easy for companies to manage their job candidates and reach out to them at different stages in the recruiting cycle. A small part of what these applicant tracking systems do is actually hosting the job applications for these companies. We noticed that we could directly interface with these applicant tracking systems to figure out what these companies are using to populate their jobs for their career sites. We figured out a way to pull all the open internships for companies through their applicant tracking systems, allowing us to automate the process of going to each of their career sites and allowing us to access all this publicly available information extremely fast. Once we have the data, we sift through the information, and we find internships for students. Now, there have been other companies that tried building platforms similar to Intern Blitz, but they usually only host around 100 internships, while we already have over 1,200 internships at our peak.
Right now, Intern Blitz is live, and you can visit it at internblitz.com.
We launched 2 weeks ago at Tech, and in that time, we've brought on 94 users who collectively sent out 382 internship applications. And while it's a little early for them to hear back from recruiters, 2 of them have already gotten first-round interviews. We've been accepted to an accelerator here at Georgia Tech, but winning in Venture would give us the resources to bring Intern Blitz to students across the nation.
Nice, thank you. Concise and efficient, just like your invention. I live in New York City, and so my main question is, why do so many people get internships based on how rich and famous their parents are? But I think you guys have better questions. So David, do you want to start?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to start with your question.
All right.
Because from my experience getting my own internships and also interns who I hire, to be honest, oftentimes those come through networking. And it seems like that would be a factor that would be completely impossible to integrate into your product. So have you considered that angle at all?
Yeah, so we've put in a little bit so that we can actually push people to go beyond just the application. So once you apply, you get a page that has a little button that actually looks to help find recruiters on LinkedIn for your company. So you can connect and take it past that extra step.
I have a question. What problem are you really solving? Because what I heard is you had to spend a lot of time and do work to get an internship. And as a person who, as a person who hires interns, I actually want you to work hard so that you differentiate yourself as opposed to looking like a common applicant.
Yeah, so we're kind of solving 2 problems at the same time. So the first problem, like you mentioned, is finding good quality candidates for companies. And the second problem is on the user side, like alleviating that process a little bit. So we speed up the process for users, but we have this credit system where you get 15 credits a month, and each credit is 1 application. So users are forced to make a conscious decision to apply to the companies that they want. So you're maintaining the same quality while also reducing the time spent applying.
And I have a second question. How are you going to make money?
Yeah, so we haven't figured out the full kinks about our business model, but one thing that we were thinking of doing was selling information back to recruiters. So right now we're collecting data on when a person looks at a specific internship detail, when they add it to their internship job cart, and when they actually apply to internships. And then we were going to package this up and sell it back to recruiters to help them tailor their marketing campaigns to specific colleges and groups of people.
Partha?
How do you prevent canned responses from the students toward the employers?
So employers are able right now to ask extra questions, and usually what we've seen on our platform is those questions are hyper-specific to that company. So at Lyft's company, it'll say, what about Lyft interests you, or what about Lyft's specific business model interests you? So those questions are so specific that it's already weeding out a lot of people. On our platform so far, we haven't seen any questions that are broad enough that people can constantly copy and paste responses.
David, Google hires a lot of interns. I bet you have another question.
We do hire interns, that's true. I hire interns, so there's pain on the other side too, right? Trying to find the right interns. But in terms of the question matching, I mean, we don't have a lot of time to get into the logistics of how you operate this, but I'm going to guess that the wording of questions from all these different internship opportunities is going to be very different. What risks do you take on when you start to bucket these questions as being the same? Because I know when I'm reading an application, if I get even a whiff of a canned response, it's done.
Yeah.
And I think the price of making a mistake in your business can be very high. So how are you adjusting or considering that sensitivity level?
Sure. So the questions that we're combining into this common app is questions like your name, your major, your GPA, something like your school, even like a resume and a cover letter. So even with resumes and cover letters, we allow users to upload multiple resumes and multiple cover letters so they can still have that customizability even in those questions themselves. And then everything else that's specific to the company, even if it's not one of those questions, we put it in this other section that people will have to answer themselves.
What is different about internships versus full-time jobs? Is that an area you would grow into? Why are you focused only on internships?
So full-time jobs is definitely an area that we're looking to grow into. The reason we wanted to focus on internships first is because we realized that students were going through the hiring process probably twice a year, where people that are looking for full-time positions only really see this hiring process every 3 to 5 years. So we figured we'd focus on the users that are going through this process the most and then grow from there.
Got about 15 seconds. Anybody got a quick question? No. You got a lot of scribbling. Maybe that's a good sign, guys. Maybe they want to work for you. That's all the time we have for questions from the judges, but we always save time for Ashley to ask a question or two. Ashley, of whom will you be asking them?
Thank you, Faith. I'll be asking them of Chloe Belangia, my intern. Just kidding. She's a friend of the team. Hi, Chloe.
Hi.
You're my de facto subject matter expert on this because you're a college student. So what can you tell me about the intern application process from the user side?
I'd say it's really tedious and time consuming for like almost no reason because every application has the same mundane, repetitive questions and then a few company specific questions. And so college students tend to get really burnt out really quickly.
Okay, so intern blitz, I know blitz means attack. That's my attack face. How does it help the users, right? That was good. How does it help them attack the intern application process and maybe regain the upper hand in the experience?
It really streamlines the whole process because it consolidates all of those repetitive questions into one core application, and then you have all the time in the world to really focus on those targeted company-specific questions and put your all into as many applications as possible.
Okay, very pointed, good information. Now, neither Murtaza nor Nathan can swim, but I know what would keep them afloat. Do you?
No.
People's choice votes, that's what. It's okay, Chloe, I'll fill you next time. All right, thanks for explaining everything you did. You were super helpful. I hope this didn't feel like an internship interview, by the way. Okay, good, I'm glad. To make Intern Blitz your choice for the People's Choice Award, remember to text keyword intern, that's an easy word to spell, to 22333. That's intern spelled out to 22333. But don't do it yet, not until all the teams have presented. But for now, it's back to Faith. Faith.
All right, we've got 2 teams down and 4 finalists still waiting in the wings. But how did these students become finalists? What path led them to our stage tonight? The route is usually far from direct, often the road less traveled, and it's filled with both pitfalls and hurdles, bipartisan feuding, threats, filibustering. Oh, sorry, this isn't Congress. But if you can avoid and overcome enough of those challenges, then just like our teams tonight, you will have successfully navigated the road to the Inventure Prize.
When the teams competing in the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize began their journey last summer, there were a remarkable 511 students at the starting line. And former finalists were on hand to get them off and running.
We felt lucky to even be at the finals. We didn't really expect to win.
But the field of contestants only grew at Georgia Tech's annual Capstone Expo.
We've invented a CHF Smart Math for congestive heart failure.
We built the PH571 performance hybrid vehicle.
We developed the tactical unmanned ground vehicle.
Delbot is a solution to land-based package delivery, which can go both over stairs and flat ground traversal.
As a few select teams were offered a shortcut, golden tickets to take them directly to Inventure's semifinal round.
Tonight you're being awarded a golden ticket from the Inventure Prize competition.
But the road for most took them down a different path.
Welcome to the preliminary round of the 2017 Inventure Prize,
where more than 40 remaining teams tried to convince the judges that they belonged in the semifinals too.
LilyPad is a vitals monitoring device that children in daycare would wear.
Ilks is an integrated laser and screen keyboard system.
NeoPal is an assistive breastfeeding device for mothers with babies with cleft palate.
Good luck, and we hope to see you at the semifinals.
And the 25 teams who made the cut were offered a chance to polish their pitch before the semis began.
Do you guys have a prototype of this thing?
Yes.
That is what's going to sell it.
But it was at the semifinals that students faced their toughest questions yet.
I just want to know what your invention actually does.
Are these 3 variables the only thing they have to worry about?
Keep it really simple. How do you solve that person's problem? You got 30 seconds.
Ultimately narrowing the field to 6 finalists and literally setting the stage for tonight, the last stop on the road to the Inventure Prize.
As you just saw, all of tonight's finalists have earned their spot on stage tonight. So let's not keep our next team waiting. It's Team Capable Kane.
I'm Jeffrey McMichael, Team Capable Kane. My mother-in-law a few years back had a double knee surgery, which left her in a lot of pain and made her part of 1 in 8 Americans that suffer from an ambulatory disability, which means that it's really difficult to do everyday activities. So often when she was out and about, she wanted to find a place to rest her legs, but really just couldn't. So I began the process to help her the best way I could by researching other products that were on the market, but they just all had some serious shortcomings. The biggest one is that they're all very unstable, and the seat is so small that when you try to sit down, you're just gonna tip over. So as a mechanical engineering student here at Georgia Tech, I knew that I could do better. The Capable Cane was originally designed for the disabled and the elderly, but as I went through the design process, I realized that the Capable Cane is really for everyone.
And please welcome our next contestant, a team of one, Capable Cane.
Thank you. Everyone that walks has to sit. It's a universal human problem. But unfortunately, seats just aren't available when you need them the most. Portable seating attempted to answer this, but really failed to do so because of its bulk and its instability. I saw the need for something drastically better and invented the Capable Cane. The Capable Cane is a lightweight walking cane that transforms into a portable, stable chair. Now, I originally designed it with the elderly and the disabled in mind because the cane was important to them, but that also made it lightweight and very slim. I used a modified 4-bar linkage to make the legs fold up parallel as a cane, but then fold out to make a stable base. It's actually super easy to get out to unfold. Let me demonstrate. By undoing the 2 Velcro straps, folding it out once, putting the front bar into place, and then unfolding the 2 legs, you have a portable, stable chair. Now, the great thing about this is that unlike anything on the market today, it has 2 armchairs and a backrest for comfort. And the most important part is that it has a full-size seat that's both wide and deep in addition to a full-size base. So I weigh about 210 pounds, and it actually holds me really well. It's actually pretty comfortable too. Folding it back up is just as simple. You just follow the same steps in reverse order. By undoing the locking mechanisms, folding it up, undoing the front latch, folding in the sides, and then wrapping it around again, you have a stable cane. So the Capable Cane has a huge potential market, but let me just give a few examples. The Outdoor Industry Association estimated that 142.4 million people participate in recreational activities every year. Additionally, the camping market, camping products alone bring in $2.5 billion annually. The Capable Cane takes to market this because of its use in everyday environments. But not just that, TSA lines at Hartsfield-Jackson are horrible. You can never get through them. People at soccer games for their kids, outdoor concerts, Capable Cane answers it all. Through this, I've learned that this just isn't for my mother-in-law, but it's for everyone. Everyone that walks has to sit, and everyone that sits has to have the Capable Cane. Thank you.
All right. So, Jeffrey, you are what a mother-in-law calls a keeper. Judges, I think Jeffrey would prefer if you stay seated, preferably on his invention. In any case, let's get your questions. Who's first?
So this is kind of my sector, so I'm excited.
Absolutely.
You are very good at sitting.
That's what I do, yeah. What is the price point?
So as a prototype, it was a little bit expensive because I used parts that were readily available. This one costs around $100 to make. But future versions, which the Inventure Prize would help me to refine with design for manufacture, would cost significantly less, as I replaced a lot of the aluminum parts that aren't necessarily structural with molded composite pieces.
Do you have a rough idea at all?
I'm estimating about $75 to $100 on the low end. Or on the, I'm sorry, $75 to $100 is kind of the high end,
And what is the weight of the product?
Currently, its weight is 4 pounds, but that can decrease a lot as I get lighter composite materials such as carbon fiber, molded plastic and parts.
From a marketing and branding perspective, do you perceive any problem with calling it a cane but saying it's for everyone?
Well, it's still absolutely a cane. You know, I've talked to a lot of people about this, and they're like, well, I don't really use a cane.
but I want a portable chair. And the issue is that the disabled already carry around canes, so why not give them a chair? It's just so portable that you can use it either way.
David?
Yeah, so just to clarify, the 75 to 100, that was your BOM cost or your retail?
No, that was $100 was about the cost for this, making it by hand. You know, prices for that are just quite a bit more than making it in a high dose. So I'm estimating that $75 to $100 would be a very reasonable price point for this in the future, as I made some material changes, excuse me.
Okay, but again, price point to sell it for, not to build it. So how much to build it?
So to build it, it would probably be around $50 to $75, I'm estimating.
What's your distribution strategy?
So right now, I've really started out grassroots, just talking to a bunch of people, getting their feedback. I've gone to nursing homes, doctors, things like that. So I'd be hoping to start out online to get it to as many people as possible, and then from there going to brick and mortar stores.
What's the maximum weight it can hold?
That's a great question, actually. So with the capital gain from Inventure Prize, I can really test fully the limits of the capable cane and then increase from there. I mean, it holds me now at 210 pounds, but I'd really like to find the limit and then increase it from that point.
You've never gone up to somebody bigger than you and just said, sit here?
Maybe I should.
So I have a failure mode question too, because it's going to break. What happens when it breaks?
Well, I've tested the first prototype. This is generation 3. And when it broke, it just kind of went on the side. So, you know, I really don't foresee it breaking within the reasonable weight limit. But I've done some testing and finite element analysis and so on, and, you know, refined the weak points from there.
I have a question. You showed how you could get back up and put it together, which is great if you're a tired person tailgating that wants to sit down. But if you're really someone with ambulatory limitations, are you going to be able to hold your own weight while your cane reverts from a chair back to a cane?
I thought about that a lot. Actually, because it's so lightweight, it's not that difficult to handle. You know, people that do this in the future wouldn't have to bend over as much. I'm still kind of in the product development process. So,
can you adjust the height?
Yeah, so that's actually some feedback that I've gotten as well. I went to a nursing home and they said, you know, you should put some feet on it, make the height adjustable. I was like, that's a great idea, but I wasn't able to incorporate it in this prototype.
And then are there different versions or products you could segue to using similar engineering methods, and what's the intellectual property around it?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the future, I'm thinking about making one that's wider for people that are a little bit heavier, maybe some that are smaller for kids. The intellectual property, this is patent pending right now, would really be in the folding design. In my research on prior art, I never saw anything in a cane chair that really resembled like this.
Jeffrey, Inspector Gadget, thank you. With Jeffrey's presentation behind him, I believe Ashley is ready to introduce us to the inspiration for his invention. Ashley?
I am, Faith. I'm joined by Jeffrey's mother-in-law. This is Linda McMillian. Linda, you have quite literally been in the hot seat on this project because you were Jeffrey's original muse. So what's it like to have a product designed specifically for you?
Well, actually, I found it incredibly inspirational. He started out making it for a disabled person, and now it's a product that can be used literally by anyone.
That's incredible. But I also have to note, you were incredibly involved throughout the process. I know where there were some family meals where you were perhaps serving a bit more than dinner, dishing it up at the table. So what kind of feedback were you offering Jeffrey along the way here?
Well, I had a lot of things that I needed to incorporate into the design that would be helpful for me as an impaired person when it comes to walking. I needed it to have a back, I needed it to have armrests, and I needed 4 legs so that it would be stable. So he took all that into consideration when looking at what existed on the market now and was able to produce a cane chair that does it all.
Amazing. Check, check, check. Good job, Jeffrey. Your mother-in-law's proud of you. Okay, thanks, Linda. Could Jeffrey take home the People's Choice Award tonight? Oh, he's capable. To make Capable Cane your selection, wait until the polls open to text keyword capable to 22333. That's C-A-P-A-B-L-E. That's a tough one to spell. All right, back to you, Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. Now, our next team admits, we can hear it for Capable Cane. Let's go. All right. There's always room for applause. Our Our next team admits that they aren't exactly brain surgeons, but they are all exceptionally intelligent biomedical engineering students who want to help brain surgeons as well as other doctors. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Devin.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Dev, and we're Team Cautery Guard.
Electrocautery devices are surgical tools that utilize very high temperature to remove unwanted tissue and to stop bleeding.
Electrocautery devices are also used in almost every single surgical procedure. In the last year alone, 83% chief of surgeries and experienced surgeons experienced some form of self-inflicted injury. The number of injuries increases astronomically when you factor in the number of nurses, residents, medical school students, and other untrained medical personnel that are using the device multiple times every single day. Cautery Guard eliminates this.
We, as biomedical engineering students, met with medical professionals to explore the possibility of improving the device's safety, function, and usability.
With the help of the Inventure Prize, we hope to take it to market and start saving lives with Cautery Guard.
Very well then, you can start right now. Cautery Guard, you're on.
Electrocautery devices are used in over 80% of all surgical procedures in order to remove tissue and to stop bleeding. Hunter will now demonstrate how an electrocautery device on the market today currently works. You remove the sterile packaging, take off the cap, hold down the button, and the tip heats up to 1200 degrees Celsius. However, once you are done using the electrocautery device, the exposed tip stays pretty hot. Hot enough to cause third-degree burns to both the surgeon and the patient. 83% of surgeons last year were injured because of electrocautery devices. There are also 450 surgical fires caused every single year because of these devices. When you factor in the number of nurses, veterinarians, and other medical personnel using this device multiple times per day, the risk of injury increases significantly. Devin will demonstrate how our device, the Cautery Guard, eliminates this problem. The Cautery Guard functions exactly like an electrocautery device on the market today would, but it's retractable. The novelty of the Cautery Guard is how it turns on when extended and automatically retracts while turning off. This prevents any contact from occurring with the surgeon, the patient, or any flammable material. But don't take our word for it. Listen to what two experienced surgeons out of the hundreds already interested in the Cautery Guard have to say about the device. Dr. Morse, professor and trauma surgeon at Emory University, has injured himself over 20 times in the last decade because of the safety flaw in current devices, and says that he would definitely use the Cautery Guard because of its improved safety. Dr. Thomas Kniff, plastic surgeon from California, states that electrocautery pens pose a serious risk of initiating fires in the operating room. Winning the Inventure Prize would give us the capital and resources needed to finish an FDA approval and secure a patent. We've already worked with a patent attorney to perform a prior art evaluation and assess that the Cautery Guard is not only patentable, but has the freedom to operate. From there, we can begin mass manufacturing the Cautery Guard to enter the $5.71 billion market and bring safer, simpler surgery to operating rooms all over the world. And now, we'd love for you to take a closer look of the Cautery Guard itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I just see you cauterize a hot dog? This is like Georgia Tech dorm room haute cuisine, right?
Absolutely.
All right, now we will get to the burning questions of our judges. Who's got the first one? Oh, are you trying to set a paper on fire, David?
This thing's live.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it really works.
It works.
Are you guys crazy?
Thankfully, he tested the notebook.
Who wants to start?
I'll start. Okay.
I mean, are you guys crazy is a legitimate question, but let's go to another.
Go to Georgia
I'll
Tech.
start, but only if I can hold it and not let them hold it while I'm talking. So question, what is the price point compared to what is already on the market? And then a second question I just have is this a single use? I mean, how many of these does a doctor buy and how often do they replace them?
So as for the price point, given a basis of about 100,000 units for a manufacturing run, our device costs about $5.40. The current market device costs about $4.55. Now, that difference in cost is more than made up because a cautery burn in an operating room costs about $3,000. Now, a surgical fire can incur millions in dollars of damages, and neither of those prices reflect the later cost of corrective surgeries. Excuse me. Your second question?
Is this single
Disposable,
use? I mean,
yes.
how many of
They are
these does
all
someone
disposable.
buy?
Yeah, so they're single use. They're used in one operation for each device. And given that in the United States alone, you're going to have about 80 million procedures every year, and even if you take a very conservative estimate and you're using only 5% in those procedures, you're only using it in 5% of them, that's 4 million devices a year. On top of that, at a price point of about $25 per unit, which is right alongside the current market device, you're looking at a revenue stream of about $100 million yearly.
Partha?
So there's a ton of these scalpels that have recently hit the market that have one of these adjustment mechanisms. Is your intellectual property on the way that power is activated when you slide it out?
Yes, so we actually had that same question in January and spoke to patent lawyers about it. They conducted a prior art search on our behalf, and they told us that our device represents a novel innovation and that it is patentable. But there is no blanket patent on electrocautery devices, so we can still make our electrocautery pen with its innovation.
And what's your FDA path?
So for FDA approval, we're looking at a 510K submission, and what that means is that we have to establish substantial equivalency to devices already on the market. Cautery Guard is what's called a Class 2 device, and it is also pre-amendment. This, along with its similarity to devices on the market, allows us to submit an abbreviated 510K, which changes the price point from hundreds of thousands of dollars to between $10,000 and $20,000.
And what's the reimbursement code for this product, or is it part of the bundle payment for the surgery?
Sorry, the reimbursement?
Reimbursement code, the CPT code.
It's not. We don't have a CPT code yet.
Is it part of the bundle payment? How are hospitals covering it right now? So are they receiving money for a surgery, a sum, and then allocating a portion of that to their current cauterizing devices?
I'm sure there's a CPT code. There's got to be a CPT code.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the margin.
This is an off-mic conversation, but David, you're a doctor too, right? I mean, a PhD, but still, you're a doctor. You're sure there's a CPT code.
He almost burned a piece of paper.
I'm not the kind of doctor that uses those things.
Dr. Frakes.
No.
So to answer your question, I do not know how exactly a hospital is reimbursed for it. These devices are relatively low price point, so I don't know if that reimbursement is very high.
Sure, and you said that currently they're throwing them away after every surgery, the current cauterizing?
They're disposable. They come in sterilized packaging. They're sterilized via ethylene oxide. You open it, you use it in the sterile field, and then you throw it away, and that's it.
And is there any risk of bacteria getting stuck in your mechanism here?
So the risk of infection is really low for electrocautery devices because you're operating at a temperature of 1200 degrees Celsius, which destroys all living tissue that come in contact with the tip. The device is used in a very pinpoint manner, so that means the tip comes in contact with only one very small area, and then it burns everything around that, and that's all you're using it for. You're not using it for broad movements or cuts or strokes.
Last question, real quick.
This will be the last one.
Do you know how much funding it would take to get this to market?
So right now we're looking at our patent and the FDA approval, and that would be about $20,000. Then if we went our own route and manufactured it, we'd have to go for a small manufacturing run of about 1,000 units. And what that costs is between $4,000 and $5,000.
Okay, you've burned up your time. I'm sorry, guys. I got to be fair to everybody. With the tough questions answered, let's hand things back to Ashley, who has some easier questions for someone close to Team Cautery Guard. Ashley?
Yeah, I'd like to think they're easy, Faith. Thank you. I'm here with Professor James Rains, and side note, this invention began in his design class. That's a pretty big deal. Professor Rains, you've used the standard electrocautery pen before, vis-a-vis the Cautery Guard, and I'd like to see a real live demo, if you don't mind. Okay. A little burn baby burn action.
Yeah, sure. And so, yeah, sure. It's very simple. All you have to do is press the device, and then you can go across, cut whenever you need to, and then when done, can I use your hand?
I don't know.
It's safe. It is safe to the touch.
Oh, just kidding. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, so they've done a fantastic job.
They have done a fantastic job. No heat felt on my end. So that's really good. Okay, awesome. Well, real quick, where can we go on social media to keep up with Cautery Guard?
Okay, so they've worked with a lot of people, and those people really want to use it. And so they and others interested can go to Facebook @Cautery Guard to learn more about it.
They've Got a new follower in me. Okay, if Cautery Guard is your choice, you'll want to text keyword CGuard to 22333. That's CGuard. But voting is not open yet. It will begin after all of our teams have presented their presentations. Okay, back to you, Faith.
All right, earlier we showed you the road our finalists took in their journey to our stage tonight. Unfortunately for the other 500 students who entered this competition, they weren't able to make it this far. But that's okay. There are still lots of great ideas out there. Maybe they just need a little more tinkering or a little more polish, or maybe they need to completely start over again. The point is, there's always the next Inventure Prize. And to show you some of the teams you might see a year from now, we've created a video appropriately named Maybe Next Year.
We're Team TampGon.
We are ER Express.
We're Team Sock Squad. We're Squad. We're ready to go.
Ultimately, what you do want to find is the one person who can't live without this thing.
Upper Running shoes are self-charging shoes that send fitness tracking data to your smartphone via Bluetooth.
We're Team Eurotech, and we've invented a kidney stone basket that offers... Crap, let's redo.
That would be good.
We first heard about this idea from a very popular movie called Three Idiots.
Very talented engineers.
Alarm is a vibrating device that goes on the back of your pillow.
SpecWare is a device to measure your blood alcohol content through the transmission of light through your finger. You combine that with a fingerprint sensor to determine that the reading is actually from the user they say they are.
Why don't you just stand up there and say that?
TampGon is a biodegradable tampon that will degrade in the sewage system.
Bam, that's it.
This idea spawned from a little bit of anger.
And that's cool. It's you. Super cool.
TampGon should win the Inventure Prize because it's time for an upgrade that can degrade.
We came up with the idea for Pathfinder when I got lost at a festival,
This is a huge problem.
so I wasn't able to find any of my friends that I went with.
Elix should win the Inventure Prize because we have the coolest project. And yeah.
We all know what you get when you combine video games with warehouses. And if anyone doesn't, you will after you meet Team Pick AR.
My name is Wenqi.
I'm Chang Han.
My name is Sarthak, and we are Team Pick AR. Order picking accounts for up to 60% of the operational costs of over 750,000 warehouses across the world. There are many inefficiencies in the way that order picking happens. For example, it's usually very difficult to move around in a warehouse. The other big problem is that people don't usually follow the most efficient path to picking all these different packages. These are the problems that we wanted to address with Pick AR.
And as computer science majors, we knew we can solve this problem.
The platform and technology we are working with is so new that there were a lot of technical challenges that we had to overcome.
We knew once we solved these technical challenges, though, that we were onto something. Thousands of warehouses around the world need Pick AR, and we can't wait to bring it to them.
And you can start by bringing it to us. I give you Team Pick AR.
Thank you. So, my name is Sarthak, this is Wendy, that is Shenghan, and we are Pick AR. A few months ago, I spent some time at a warehouse. As a wearable computing researcher, I was studying order picking. Order picking is the process of finding items in a warehouse and transporting them to a new location for further processing. In just the 1 week that I was there, my warehouse manager committed over $500,000 for just 5% improvement in order picking. Why is that? It turns out that order picking accounts for up to 60% of the operational costs of over 750,000 warehouses across the world, shipping over $1 trillion worth of goods every year. 5% improvement in order picking leads to billions of dollars of savings. Since all three of us are augmented reality researchers, we wondered how we could apply this exciting new technology to this traditional logistics industry. And that is why we built Pick AR. Pick AR is like Google Maps for warehouses. It is an augmented reality application that runs on commercially available headsets like the Microsoft HoloLens. PickAR does 3 things really well. First, we have integrated the barcode scanner, a commonly used piece of equipment used across the logistics industry, into the headset itself. With PickAR, you just scan and go. Second, we have built a patent-pending indoor navigation system that knows where you are and tells you exactly where you need to go in the quickest way possible. More savings in steps leads to more savings in money. And finally, by integrating with existing warehouse management systems and displaying all the relevant information in front of the user, everything is built in, you are hands-free, and you can actually use your hands to pick the orders. So where are we going with PickAR? In the time that we have developed the product, we have been approached by 5 Fortune 100 companies that are interested in using our technology. We have signed letters of intent with 3 warehouses in the Atlanta area, and we'll be conducting our first user study and trial on April 3rd. As we develop the features of our platform, we are looking into either licensing our technology for other warehouses to use or becoming a vendor and providing services to warehouses across the world. Winning the Inventure Prize would allow us to continue our product development efforts, improve upon the 37% improvement that we're already seeing in the lab with PickAR compared to existing methods, and finally, accelerate our efforts to build relationships with the 12,300 warehouses in just the Metro Atlanta area alone.
And that's your time. That's the reality, guys. I got to cut you off there. Now you said that your product does 3 really cool things. I think it does 4 cool things. It makes Wenke look like a sci-fi heroine.
Oh.
It's really. So judges, I give you your penultimate team of the night. PickAR.
All right, so yeah, this falls in my area, so I was excited to talk to you guys. First question, it looks like you've solved a couple interesting problems. Why are we targeting augmented reality for this? If you've solved the location and the pathfinding problem, why aren't you just automating this? I mean, Amazon's adding 15,000 new robots to their warehouses every year. Why is this a human aid? Is it going to be incremental and irrelevant when the whole process is done automatically anyway?
So to clarify, is your question about why aren't we doing this with robotics, or why are we using the navigation for something else?
Why is it designed as a human aid rather than a component of a robotic system? Because that's clearly where this environment is trending.
That's a very good question, and this is something that we have thought a lot about. So there's 3 parts to this answer. First, robotic systems require orders of magnitude more investment compared to a headset like this. And 80% of all supply chains are completely manual. They use paper-based pick lists, rather like that, or they use little to no automation technology whatsoever. Using an augmented reality headset results in a clear, immediate benefit and improvement. Secondly, most robotic systems optimize for something called dense order picking. That is when all your objects and all your orders are very close together. With this system and our navigation system, you can do sparse order picking, which is when the orders are farther apart. And finally, this is ready to go to market today. And as headset technology improves over the next couple of years, we should be able to develop our technology to meet the demand.
Okay. Sorry, one more. So it's very cool, but explain to me what's new, because VR headsets are not new. Path optimization problems are relatively well solved. Barcode scanning has been around for ages. What's new?
What's new about PickAR is the fact that we have integrated all of these different components of a typical warehouse together. And we've done this by visiting over 12 warehouses in just the past 3 months alone. We've listened very closely to what our customers need. They have mentioned the ability to see exactly what orders they need to pick as a huge improvement over existing methodologies. They have talked about the integration of barcode scanning, and more specifically, the ability to time between different order picks, that as a very important part of this. We believe, and finally, integrating with warehouse management systems, that allows you to essentially do everything on the headset itself. We believe this is a critical improvement over existing methods.
So I have a three-part question. Well, it's better than two, right? So you mentioned that a large number of warehouses are not candidates for automation. Are there certain industries that lend themselves to more human-based picking, or is it more the scale of the warehouse? The second question is, what's the cost of the headset? Because if scale is an issue, then is the headset cost prohibitive? And then the third piece is, how often would you have to replace and train people on that? Because people change a lot.
So your first, so could you tell me what your first question was again?
You lost the first one already. Okay. Are there certain industries that lend themselves to more human-based picking, or is it the scale of the warehouse?
By scale, okay.
Is it big versus small or certain type of product?
I see. It's both. So we visited, for example, in the past 3 months alone, we visited a marble sorting facility, and we visited something that does order picking with books. And that, so books are more optimized for something compared to marble, especially if you're operating something like a forklift. And what was your second question?
What's the price?
The price of this headset, which is the Microsoft HoloLens, is $3,000.
Okay, you got 15 seconds to answer the last question, which is how much could these change?
Well, because workers in warehouses change a lot. What would the training have to be, and how would you have to replace those?
So actually, the cost of training would be reduced because you can guide the workers through a typical picking process.
Okay, that's time. Thank you very much. Thank you to the judges. Thank you, Team Pick AR. And thank you in advance to Ashley for what I'm sure will be another interesting interview.
And you are correct, Faith. I'm here with Josh Fisher, Sarthak's research mentor. Josh, in my line of work, when someone says they're augmenting their reality, they mean that they're lying. And I'm not accusing you of that by any means, but tell me what AR means in the field of technology. Is it new?
Sure. So augmented reality has already existed for around 40 years, but it's been within advanced labs in the military and in very complex settings. So only within the last 5 years have you seen it move into more consumer level applications. So you've seen it in Snapchat, Instagram, Pokemon Go, the most common one that came out this past summer.
Okay, so I'll just tell people I'm just using my augmented reality filter on Instagram. Thank you for arming me with that. Imagine that. Okay, to make Pick AR your pick, text keyword Pick AR to 22333. That's PICK, the letter A, the letter R. You can begin voting right after our last team presents tonight, and I believe that won't be long now, right, Faith?
Not long at all, Ashley. In fact, Team Gateway starts right now.
Hi, I'm Veronica. And I'm Nora, and we're Team Gateway. Every year, 50,000 children are born with some sort of condition that will require ambulatory physical therapy during their adolescence. This means that they need to do therapy between the ages of 0 and 10 years of age. Currently, physical therapists use large sets of parallel bars in the clinics, which weigh several tons. And in the home, they resort to using coupled together sets of PVC bars that can be dangerous and unsteady. The only product on the market only services children from 1 to 3 years of age, or up to 30 pounds. As industrial design majors, this problem really spoke to us. We got to work with these kids, identify their needs, look at their experiences, and come up with a solution that will help them for years to come. Winning the Adventure Prize would allow us to take Gateway to the next level. This means expanding our manufacturing process, doing some product development, user testing, and bringing Gateway to the physical therapists and children who really need it.
Our final team tonight, and our only team to be so perfectly color coordinated with their innovation. Please welcome Team Gateway.
Hi, I'm Nora Johnson, and this is Veronica Young. Together, we created Gateway. I'd like to introduce you to someone really special to us. This is Isaac. He's 3. Isaac's life is a little different from other children. He was born with a physical condition that presents symptoms akin to cerebral palsy. That means that he wakes up every day and teaches his own body how to do things that you and I may take for granted. He still can't quite yet stand on his own, so he works with his physical therapist, both in the home and in the clinic, on equipment like parallel bars. Unfortunately for Isaac and the 50,000 other children born every year with similar physical conditions, there are no parallel bars on the market that account for both the growth of children and all the places they go. If you are under the age of 3, There is one set. If you are over the age of 3, there's nothing. Parents may try to build their own sets out of PVC. That's plumbing pipe from the hardware store. Those sets of parallel bars usually end up unstable and not adjustable. Or they'll stack up couch cushions or use uneven countertops to try to make do. We saw this problem firsthand, and we created a solution. We created Gateway. Gateway is a set of transportable parallel bars for pediatric physical therapy. They're transportable because they fold up to the size of a large suitcase. That means that the physical therapist we talked about can put it in the back of their car and take it to your home, take it to your school, bring you into the clinic, and help you do all of your exercises without going to the adult side of the room. Gateway is made of lightweight, durable materials. So even though it only weighs 35 pounds, it can support children from 0 to 10 years of age. Lastly, Gateway is adjustable. So while it's supporting that child from 0 to 10 years of age, it can adjust to fit them. Gateway is user tested and approved. We've experienced excellent feedback and critique from physical therapists, parents, and the children who actually use it. The head of the physical therapy department at the University of North Georgia said that when she was working as a solo physical therapist out of her truck, Gateway would have been invaluable. Though the parents and professionals we spoke with want to buy Gateway now, it's not quite ready for retail. Winning the Inventure Prize for us would mean getting to work with engineers to design Gateway for manufacture and implement all of that excellent user feedback we received. With a manufacturable design, we could get Gateway certified as a medical product and get it to the children who need it now. For the physical therapist to take with them or the parent to keep in their home, Gateway is the next step. Thank you.
Thank you. Very meaningful work. And now we'll walk ourselves over to the judges to see what they'd like to know about Teen Gateway.
So the question I have, you mentioned there are 50,000 children a year that have this, and then you mentioned retail. What is the channel strategy that you plan to use? Is this for people in their homes, or is it for the therapists? And is there any recurring revenue? Because my concern is the cost it takes to build this, and then it's so adjustable, you're going to sell one.
So ideally we would like to sell this sort of online, but be able to sell it to everybody, because everybody deserves to be able to walk.
We would start first with a physical therapist, because that's who's using it right now the most. And then, like we said, parents tend to build their own sets out of PVC. So we foresee branching out and selling to parents. We are trying to research which different classifications we need to receive to sell it to both parties. And then with the recurring revenue model, we foresee that because this many children are born every year, that's true, but also that's only in the top 3 categories. That doesn't include other kinds of traumatic injury, other kinds of therapy, and then also scalability. If we were able to design this for manufacture, we could scale it up and sell to an older population as well.
You guys should get the cane guy to help you fold that even smaller.
We actually talk with him a lot. He loves it.
When you're talking about those 50,000 kids, how many physical therapists service those 50,000 kids?
So, and that's just 50,000 children that are born every year. That's not talking about the next 20,000 that by the age of 3 develop conditions like this. So currently in the US, there are 30,000 physical therapists servicing children and adults with these types of conditions. But that's not including the clinics and then the other physical therapists that would then work in those clinics.
And what would be a price point for something like this?
So we're not exactly sure, as we still need to design it for manufacturing. Based off of this model, we estimate about $300 to $400, which is similar in price to the other equivalent products that kids are already using, such as their walkers and other.
And that would be retail, not manufactured.
Yes.
David?
What components of the IP do you see as protectable? You know, I'm envisioning this great idea that a company that makes fold-up massage tables is able to replicate almost instantly, and they have more experience in manufacturing. They have cheaper suppliers. What's going to prevent that from happening?
So this is a medical product, and being able to fold up but also service all of these children, and the adjustability in the parallel bars. While the folding things are similar to, and like you said, in massage chairs, it's not being used in the same way. It's unique in that it's being used to help children.
So no argument there, but do you think that can be protected? Because other companies will see what you're doing and say, yeah, this makes sense. It's solving a real problem, and we have all the building blocks right here. So what prevents that from happening?
I'm not exactly sure, and that's something we definitely need to work on, and that's why we need to win Inventure, so we can answer those hard questions.
Way to turn that one around. Well done.
Any other questions? All right. Well, then that's all the time we need. Thank you. So thank you, ladies. Thank you to our judges. Our judges are hereby dismissed to begin their deliberations, and the hard work starts now. Don't worry, it's really not a big deal. You just have the fate of young minds and all the people they can help in your judgy little hands, so go. And while you make your way back to your secret chamber, or the green room, whichever you find first, I will hand things back to Ashley, who's standing by with a guest of Team Gateway.
Thanks, Faith. I'm here with Veronica's MVP. That's her most valuable partner, her fiance, George Cooksey. Hello, George. I borrowed that from the Jetsons. I understand Veronica and Nora are just the very best of friends. They live together. They have the same major. I just saw them finish each other's sentences, and they invented something together. So tell me a little bit more about their relationship.
They are two nerdy little peas in a pod. Like true Georgia Tech students, they are part of our Friday night D&D group, or Dungeons & Dragons, or Adult Make-Believe. So they are both real-life and fictional best friends. And later this year, Veronica and I, and as well as Nora and her fiance, are all getting married. So
not all together.
No, it's just...
Got it. Okay, well, congratulations, wedding bells. And just pro tip, in case you need a wedding officiant, I'm legal in 2 states. We can talk about that later. Okay. If you feel Gateway is the gateway to a People's Choice Award, text keyword Gateway, that's GAITWAY, to 22333. And now, with Gateway's presentation completed, voting for tonight's People's Choice Award is now open. Can I get some applause, George? Thank you. Yeah. To vote, just text your team's keyword to 22333. You can only vote once per device, so no funny business. And here are those keywords for you again. To vote for Team CPR Plus to win the People's Choice Award, text CPR PLUS, spell it out, to 22333. To cast your vote for Intern Blitz, the word is intern, to 22333. If you want to vote for Team Capable Came, the keyword is capable, that's spelled BLE on the end. If you want to vote for Team Cautery Guard, text C Guard to 22333. And if you pick AR, text pick letter A, letter R to that very same number. And if you think the People's Choice Award should go to Gateway, text Gateway, GAITWAY, to 22333. You can also vote online at pollev.com/adventureprize, but you can only vote, like I said, once per device. And keep an eye out for that pesky autocorrect when you're typing in those keywords. The names must appear exactly as they do on screen, or your vote will not register. Voting will not be open long, so get to any devices you can and cast your votes now for this year's People's Choice Award. We'll have the results in just a few minutes. Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. I want to say that I did not see the president of Georgia Tech voting. He is a very judicious man. Since the inception of the Inventure Prize, the creators of this competition have actively pursued taking it beyond Georgia Tech. And to their credit, the second annual ACC Inventure Prize will take place in 2.5 weeks right here on this stage. But organizers also looked for K-12 opportunities to spark future little yellow jackets. And the success throughout Georgia of the K-12 Inventure Challenge has been nothing short of phenomenal. To tell us more about that, Ashley is standing by with some very special guests. Ashley?
Thank you, Faith. Voila! As if a collegiate invention competition isn't impressive enough, Georgia Tech's K-12 Inventure Challenge molds students into inventors at an even younger age, like Miss Jana here. I'm joined by Dr. Monica Reckley, a STEM 8th grade math teacher with Fayette County Schools, and her student and young inventor, Jana Davis, who is in the 8th grade. Monica, as a STEM teacher, how do you feel that the Inventure Challenge has raised the bar for students in your classroom?
In a world of standardized testing, the Inventure Challenge is a breath of fresh air. It challenges our students to see STEM and engineering principles in every class and in every aspect of their daily lives. So in the English class, they're able to come up with a proposal in the abstract. In social studies, they work on discovering and researching a problem. In math, they work on coming up with the cost of materials and production. And then the engineering and the science happens in building their invention. I've noticed a change in the way my students think. With the Inventure Challenge, it's not just schoolwork. All right, they go through, and this is an ongoing process, and it'll continue long after the challenge ends. Okay, our students are already talking about what they're doing within it.
So it makes a big impact. And I see this in Jana here. Jana, I have to know just really quick, what did you invent using this new approach to learning in the classroom?
Well, with police officers, the vests were made for men's bodies and not for women's curves. So we decided to make the NIV, which makes a slip that goes under the vest to make the women officers more comfortable.
Designed specifically for women officers. Kudos. Good for you, Jana. Can we get her some applause? That's really incredible. Congratulations. Wow. I'm just really personally glad to hear that invention education works. And if you're feeling inspired teachers at home, well, guess what? You can do it too. The K-12 Inventure Challenge encourages new schools to register to bring the spirit of innovation into your very own school. You can visit inventurechallenge.gatech.edu. Before I hand it back to Faith, I want to remind everyone that you've only got a few minutes to cast your votes for the People's Choice Award. So do that very quickly. And while you do, I believe Faith has a special guest. Faith?
Yes, Ashley, I do. I'm joined by yet another member of the Yellow Jacket family. He's the Wayne J. Holman Chair Professor in the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, and he's also the director of Georgia Tech's CreateX initiative, Dr. Siva Kumar. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Dr. Siva Kumar, several of the Inventure Prize finalists over the past few years have utilized the resources of CreateX. Can you tell us a bit more about the program and how it works?
Yes, absolutely. So CreateX is a Georgia Tech initiative to instill entrepreneurial confidence in our students. The name CreateX signifies that students can create their own jobs, create their own startups, and perhaps even create their own future. And we started with a generous gift from one of our alums, Chris Klaus, and we are more recently supported by the Marcus Foundation. We run a bunch of programs for students, but the culminating experience is a program called Startup Launch, where we give students $20,000 in funding, $50,000 worth of legal services, and coaching to launch their own companies.
And what has been the response of Georgia Tech students?
Oh, it's been absolutely overwhelmingly positive. We're 3 years old. In year one, we worked with about 50 students. Year three, which was last year, we worked with over 750 students from 24 different majors. Wow. And we have helped launch 42 student-founded companies in this period. But perhaps what's been really gratifying is, on an individual level, students who go through the CreateX program tell us that their perspectives are so altered positively that they can now pursue their career dreams with a lot more confidence.
So what is the future of entrepreneurship at Georgia Tech?
I think it's exceedingly bright. At CreateX, what we're working towards is to make Georgia Tech the #1 startup campus in the country. And what that means to us is 100% of our students will be entrepreneurially confident because they'll be touched by a CreateX program, and we will generate 300 student startups a year at scale.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siva Kumar, and good luck and continued success with CreateX.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Our judges are still deliberating, so you've got just a little more time to cast your vote for the People's Choice Award. And you know how well the popular vote turns out in our country. And right now, I believe my lovely co-host has quickly made her way backstage, where she's visiting with some understandably anxious finalists. Ashley, what's the mood backstage?
Oh, Faith, the mood is zen. At least that's what all the breathing exercises are for. Okay, heads up, everybody. Look alive. Time to get real. Okay, I have to ask each of you, before you go out there for the moment of truth, all of the hard work, the presentation on stage, it's all behind you, and potentially a big break could be waiting out on that stage before you. So tell me what this experience has been like. How do you feel right now? You first, Jeffrey.
I feel incredible. This has been such an awesome experience. I've loved every aspect of it. I'm so grateful for the support of my family and friends.
Emotion one, gratitude.
It's just been a really long journey for us, but it's also been really rewarding. And also being able to work with all of these guys, it's been amazing.
Amazing. I like that. Good feeling. Who's next?
Well, the team's really excited. It's been an amazing opportunity, and we're just really looking forward to the next steps.
All right, intern Blitz, what are you feeling right now?
So the whole Inventure experience was just surreal, and we're really looking forward to the future of Intern Blitz.
Did it feel like an augmented reality?
It did.
just had to throw that out there. Okay, who's next? Pick AR. How did it feel for you? What are you feeling right now at this moment?
It's an incredible experience to be a part of something that is larger than yourself, and the Inventure Prize is an amazing way to do that.
Incredible, incredibly surreal. All right, Cautery Guard.
It's just absolute euphoria to see what the culmination of this last year and a half has come to, and we're just excited to see, not just for ourselves, but for everyone here, what's going to happen next.
You deserve major kudos and congratulations. You all did a fine job. And we have a few more seconds, so let's just do this next part by a show of hands. Raise your hand if you think you might win the Adventure Prize. Look at that! In unison. Okay, let's play another one. Raise your hand if you think you might win the People's Choice Award. Also good. Also, you all had solid interviewees. Or you could also come in second. Just a really quick question. We have a few more seconds. What are you going to do with the prize money? Really quick. Go, Jeffrey.
I would really love to do more thorough testing on the capable cane and design it for manufacture a little bit more. It could really help with the product.
Sarthak.
We would continue building our product out more, build more relationships, and improve our lab studies.
Okay. All right. Veronica.
Designing for manufacturing, but also implementing all of the user research and critique that we've gotten so far.
Murtaza, what about you?
Expand Intern Blitz to 8 colleges and bring on a dedicated development team.
Is Agnes Scott one of those colleges? You know that's my alma mater.
Definitely.
Okay, just had to make sure. Cautery Guard.
FDA approval, mass manufacturing, selling it, and then starting to save lives.
Okay, great. Who am I missing? You guys CPR Plus?
Well, we want to get going on the full patent, and then we also want to start the FDA 510K.
Not the 10K, like a running contest?
That's a lot of Ks.
Right, okay, thought about that. All right, thanks you guys so much. Faith, I'm queuing them up to send it back out to you. Back to you, Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. As you can see, our judges are done deliberating and have returned to their seats. So let's find out how it went. Partha, it wasn't long ago that you were a finalist yourself, so what's it like to be on the other side of the competition?
It's way less stressful. Plus, I got to spend a lot longer planning this outfit. Last time I was worried about the pitch. This time I was just worried about.
Yeah, you look excellent.
Thank you.
David and Lara, was it a tough decision? You guys look pretty sanguine.
Yeah, I mean, I think decisions like this are always difficult, right? I mean, there's a lot of brilliant work out there, and so it's a challenge, but I think we all felt pretty confident in our responses too.
And did you find that you came quickly to an agreement?
We did.
Oh, this is very exciting. All right, well, with that, it is time to welcome our finalists back on the stage. And leading the way are 2 of our K-12 participants who went on to win first place in last year's National Invention Convention and Entrepreneurship Expo. From Nickajack Elementary School in Smyrna, Jonathan Fairgreaves and Riley Davis. Congratulations, and thank you both for joining us. Now then, we will begin with our People's Choice Award worth $5,000. And here comes my favorite part. May I have the envelope, please? Thank you, Riley. Okay, no Oscar moments, right? This is not La La Land. And the winner of the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize People's Choice Award is Cautery Guard. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. Well done. Okay. Tonight's second place winner will not only get assistance in securing a patent, but will also win $10,000 to help advance their invention. May I have the next envelope, please? Thank you, Jonathan. All right. And the runner-up for the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize is Team Intern Blitz. Great job, guys. Wonderful work. All right. I think someone's going to hire you. Now it's time for first place. May I have the envelope? Thank you both. All right, the winner of the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize is Team Cautery Guard. All right, guys, who would you like to thank?
First, I'd like to thank you, Faith, but also the entire Wallace Age Coulter Department of Biomedical Engineering who've been so supportive through this entire process.
And who would you like to thank?
I'll thank my family, all the fans, and the I2P and CreateX program for helping us get all the way here.
And who else would you like to thank?
Our teacher and mentor, Marty Jacobson.
And?
the Wallace H. Coulter Department of Biomedical Engineering. Did you say this? I couldn't hear it.
And a whole lot of doctors, a whole lot of nurses will all like to thank you. So congratulations, you guys. Congratulations to everyone. That does it for the 2017 Georgia Tech Inventure Prize. But we will be back here at the First Center on March 31st for the ACC Inventure Prize. You guys will be back too. So come back for that, please. Congratulations to all of our finalists, especially our People's Choice winner, Pottery Guard, and our second place winner, Intern Blitz, and our first place winner, Team Pottery Guard. And thanks to my co-host, Ashley Mingwasser, as well as our judges and everyone watching both here and at home. And remember, necessity may be the mother of invention, but Georgia Tech is your daddy. Good night.
Funding for this program was made possible in part by United Technologies Research Center, the ACC Academic Consortium, the Center of Innovation for Manufacturing, Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership, GE Power, the Georgia Tech Research Corporation, and the Georgia Institute of Technology.
Georgia Tech was founded over a century ago with the idea that change is ever constant. A groundbreaking here leads to a state-of-the-art facility where the next medical breakthroughs are being created. An idea here leads to the site of a technology anchor for an entire region, which sparks the next generation of big ideas. We believe that what's created here should impact everywhere.